What's going on, guys? It's Adam P, and welcome back to more Newcastle United transfer news. Big reports coming out from Italy this morning. Several Italian media sources have claimed Newcastle United have went in an attempt to sign Inter Milan midfielder Davide Frattesi, quality player. I've watched a lot of him at Inter Milan. This is a serious baller, but why would Newcastle go in for him after signing Jacob Ramsey? We're here to get into this video, and while it has not been reported yet by local journalists, I believe this is a legitimate possibility, and we'll explain our point of view. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button, join the journey, and join the 40% who are already watching this video to make sure you stay updated for any upcoming transfer news. There's a lot of videos to get into, and as always, this is going to be a double upload today, so make sure you stick around as we talk about you-know-who later on today. But starting off with why Newcastle United would potentially go in for a second midfielder this window, tells me straight away, Willock or Miley. Well, Miley could go out on loan to likes of Ipswich Town who have been linked to him, or Joe Willock, if he is fit enough to be so, could be sold this summer. That's what it tells me straight away. It tells me a non-midfielder will be going out the door alongside Sean Longstaff. Realistically, I feel like Lewis Miley, letting him go on loan would be the best output for Newcastle. Let him gain Premier League experience, let him play on a weekly basis, and just let him go out to ideally a team in the Premier League. I know Ipswich Town again want him in the Championship, but you want him to stay in this league and you want him to be able to develop and either come back and play in Newcastle's squad, or unfortunately in the transfer market and this PSR world could be a long-term PR profit sale. And that's almost how you look at the guy, which is just horrible, but that's how the league works, unfortunately. In terms of a transfer link here, now, there is a bit of leverage to this link because he's got the same agent as Sandro Tonali. So especially when you deal with agency companies in the past, I remember Kieran Trippier's agency had the same one as Chris Wood, had the same one as, I don't know if it was a different Premier League player. It might have been Harvey Barnes. Basically, there was a group of Premier League players that all had the same agency. Newcastle kept going back to that agency and kept bringing players in. And while we can diss and we can call out the other agency that's involved for our current player, the agency that we got Kieran Trippier and all those players from, they were good for us. They were good and able to bring players in. Same agency here as Sandro Tonali. So I think there is enough weight and enough evidence to suggest that this bid could be legitimate and that the links to Newcastle are also legitimate. And I think especially when you look at Newcastle in terms of bringing midfielders in, does it seem unorthodox and outlandish for Newcastle to go for two centre midfielder? I don't think it is. I think long term you would have to do that anyway. And when you look at a guy like Jacob Ramsey, maybe we've overlooked him a little. Maybe Jacob Ramsey might just be playing more on the left side of the attack rather than playing in the middle. Potentially, as much as I don't want it to happen, potentially Yoane Wissa up front, Gordon left, but will be a backup striker. And then you've got Harvey Barnes and Jacob Ramsey on the left. I realistically don't think that's going to happen. Again, I fully stand by it has to be two strikers or you keep that player in the background. So when you look at the options here, you could look at different areas. That's the point I'm trying to make here. I think Newcastle could look around and could be able to have a very dynamic and very versatile squad. But a new midfielder coming in, especially with Newcastle spending a lot of money, and if we are going to make that sale this summer, there is a lot of money there to be spent, and certainly Newcastle may be looking now to potentially bring a few more players in and then just to offload the bad egg of the bunch, offload them to Liverpool, get them out of there, and Newcastle will have a lot of money to spend in, especially after the crowd reaction and looking at the game yesterday. I've always been not defending of the player, but I've always been someone that I feel like we need to keep a hold of him despite everything you've seen. And that's still an opinion I kind of stand by. But especially after the manager reaction, the players' reaction, the fans' reaction yesterday, seems to be an entire football club against him. So long term, you kind of got to cut him loose. It's almost kind of like cutting the tumour loose. Like, you got to get it out of your body. Like, it's that exact same scenario at Newcastle, as much as I don't want to say it. So if Newcastle now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, look to bring 3 or 4 new players in, it tells you that he's going to go. I think it's that simple. But, of course, we'll speak a lot more about him later on and speak about that second striker, because it doesn't happen without that second striker. But certainly, in terms of what's saying here, ambitious, very good. You talk about Tonali coming at Newcastle. This is a player that is up there. He's up there in terms of quality. He's up there in terms of what he can do. And perhaps maybe a chance for Joelinton to kind of step back a little bit, because I don't know what it is with Joelinton, but he's just not quite been there yet. But of course, he's still huge around the squad. He's still huge for a football club. But ideally, you probably want someone that maybe start ahead of him now. Joelinton, of course, can play on the left and he can play in midfield. I think Joelinton and Jacob Ramsey on your bench, my word, they are good subs. They are very good options, and they're the sort of players that are going to really help you in terms of squad depth. So I would personally do that if I had the choice now. I mean, I have to assume for now that the bid is real, but of course, after a few hours making this video, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if then local journalists have then claimed that this bid is not real or this bid's got nothing to it. So keep an eye on it. But certainly, I think there's enough leverage there to suggest that it is a potential real bid. And I would also understand why Newcastle would go for a midfielder now, if of course they are looking to offload the bad egg of the bunch. Federer has now got a done deal for their striker, which opens up Yoane Wissa to leave to join Newcastle United. Now onwards, Newcastle can agree a deal. They've got the opportunity, especially over the next 24, 48 hours. Expect this one to get confirmed very quickly. You need him in for Liverpool next week, or you need a striker up front against Liverpool next week. If yesterday at Villa Park has taught you anything, it tells you exactly that. Needs to happen as soon as possible. Just get him in, get some fresh legs, and it also allows Gordon to play on the left. And I feel like Gordon's been heavily hampered with his, unselfishness behaviour to play up front. He runs around the pitch all game long, busts his arse off and gives 100% for Newcastle. He is so wasted up front. He has to be on the left. I feel like he's so good on the left, and having him up front is almost kind of a disservice to your squad, because his natural position's on the left-hand side and he is 100 times better on the left-hand side. So Wissa in, we need him for Liverpool. I can't make it any clearer. So I don't know when it'll be during the week. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe hopefully not, but later on in the week, Newcastle has to do it at some point. Newcastle will do it at some point. Brentford will now open up and allow that to stay on. It's our job to actually go in there and to get this player sorted out, and he'd be playing in our team on the back of getting 19 Premier League goals last season. Can't wait to see Yoane Wissa play. Can't wait to see what we can do at our football club, and I can't wait to see what Newcastle United will do next, because it would certainly be a big sign for us. Really walking away from this video, I've seen a lot of strong negative comments towards Anthony Elanga yesterday, and while I'm not going to pretend he had an amazing debut, because he didn't, of course, missed a huge chance at the start of the game, some people are outing him out to have like the worst ever debut in Newcastle's history. No, he was nowhere near that bad. You got to remember, he put an amazing ball through to Gordon, which should have been a goal, but of course Konsa pulls him back. Red card. That was our most impactful moment of the game, and he was also involved in our most impactful chance with him missing the one-on-one against the goalkeeper. I mean, in real time, it's a lot harder than it looks. You go back in the slow motion replays and you take it pixel by pixel. It looks easy to score. It's not. It's a quick movement play. I don't think the shot's terrible. It's not great, but I generally don't think the shot was that bad either. And the pass across for Gordon is not as easy as it looks. Well, I got to remember, as his debut, 4 minutes into his opening game, he's obviously going to want to try and score. And then afterwards, I feel like that shot miss has probably been in the back of his head, and it's just gave him a bit of a not a stinker, but certainly not a great performance. It was just a incredibly bang average opening game for Elanga. It's kind of like watched him and going, oh, is that it? It's kind of like you were expecting more from him. But listen, he'll play against Liverpool. I'm sure he'll be amazing against Liverpool. But yeah, a lot of, in my opinion, harsh comments towards him. He was nowhere near our worst ever debut performance yesterday. He has certainly gave it a good go, and probably should have gotten an assist. We would have scored most likely if it wasn't for the Konsa red card. But that's my opinion anyway. I'm sure you guys have your own opinion down below. But obviously, back the players, stick with the players, and back the team, because they worked their backsides off yesterday. They gave a great performance and were heavily let down by you know who. So the players will continue to do it. Eddie Howe will continue to do it. They'll keep giving 100%. And that team, honestly, a couple of players away from being incredible. It really is. 2 strikers, and perhaps if you're going to sell that guy, you might want to splash a little bit of money now. Potentially get a few more players in if you can. And then our squad's going to be looking incredible for the start of the Premier League season. So I can't wait to see what happens. Take care, guys. Going to be back with a second upload later on today. Appreciate your support as always. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.